TIAA is on a mission. Why? Because 54% of Black Americans don't have enough savings to retire. So in collaboration with big-name artists like Wyclef Jean, TIAA released Paper Right, new music inspiring a new financial future. With 100% of streaming sales going to a nonprofit that teaches students how to invest. Stream Paper Right now and help close the gap.
Oh, hello there. I didn't see you come in. I'm Shane O'Hare of the Geekscape Games Podcast, the #1 video game podcast on the Geekscape.network. Join myself, Derek Krenevelt, and a guest every fortnight as we discuss video game news, video game reviews, and dissections. That's Geekscape Games every 2 weeks on Geekscape.net.
All right, Matt. This is what this show is all about right now.
This is what we've been training for all this time. We've been building up to this moment. Maybe. Probably.
Maybe. We'll see.
Most likely.
See. All right. So I said that we were going to hold off on the album discussion last week because we had a guest. It's just you and I.
Yep.
We had to tackle this one ourselves. So here's a quick, as quick as I could get, breakdown of what we need to know about the entire Dare to Be Stupid album going into it.
Okay.
Dare to Be Stupid was released on July 18th, 1985. The album features many style parodies or musical imitations that come close but do not copy existing artists. The style parodies include those of Devo and Elvis Presley, as well as variations of musical genres like doo-wop, sci-fi, and 30s and 20s music. At the time of the release, the critical response was mixed, but it's now considered one of his best. The first session of all originals were recorded, and then a month later, they came back to record the covers and their polka. Yankovic approached Prince about a potential parody of When Doves Cry. Prince refused and did not accept any other parody ideas that were presented to him. This was a huge one. After the release of the album, Yankovic undertook a 70-city Stupid tour, which was his biggest tour of the 80s and was the first to feature costume changes, carefully designed lighting, and several Al's videos cleverly integrated into the stage show. Yankovic's onstage wardrobe changed dramatically during the tour, and he specifically specified to every promoter had to supply him with one Hawaiian shirt for him to wear. Yankovic eventually required a couple closetfuls of them. Yankovic also started wearing exclusively Vans and joked that whenever I need some, they let me go into their warehouse and just take home an armload because of this. So about the bad reviews, a lot of people thought the lead single, Like a Surgeon, and Yoda were worth praising, but they criticized the other parodies, which we'll get into for sure. But this is the thing that I am really blown away by. Said many critics were split about the emphasis on original songs. Rolling Stone wrote positively that the pick of this album's original litter is One More Minute. Rather than any other specific song, it's just a superb tune. But then in contrast, other people were disappointed with the original material. One critic saying, only someone who is missing important brain cells would possibly suggest that this artist's original songs are any good.
Wow.
This album was then nominated for a Grammy for Best Comedy Record, but it lost to Whoopi Goldberg's Whoopi original Broadway recording. So I want to talk about that one negative review because
yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to put it out there right now. This is an album that is beloved because of the originals, not the parodies.
Absolutely. Without a doubt. I mean, it's, yeah, well, I mean, we're going to get into it, obviously, but I feel like we would be hard-pressed to name a more notable Al original than the song Dare to Be Stupid. At least after all of this time, this is the biggest impact he ever made with an original song. And it is obviously a style parody of Devo, which I think there are people out there who don't even fully understand that. I think the whole idea of the style parody with Al is something that maybe less hardcore fans or just people who don't know as much about music in general, it's a difficult thing to explain.
Yeah.
What he's actually doing here.
This is also an album that when we reached out to people for song selections, there was the two that they called out, like a Surgeon Yoda, that people wanted.
Yeah.
But more than anything, people were jumping at trying to do these originals.
Yes, without a doubt.
No one was fighting for next week's episode.
No, certainly not. Certainly not.
So it is just, that is a very frustrating thing. There was a time where this was my favorite Weird Al album.
Sure.
I'm pretty sure it's maybe my second or third of the last time I did a ranking of it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there have been a ton of things that I thought were going to fall very differently as far as how high and how low they were on the rankings on this podcast so far. So who knows where this ends up?
Who knows?
But
it is interesting because this album does. I've always ranked this high. Looking at the track list, we have not recorded. We're still very early in the record here. But obviously, I just kind of relooked at the songs on this album as we got ready to do these, and yeah, the inconsistency of some of the actual parodies, I don't know. I'm curious to see where we get when we talk about some of these songs, because I feel like this is so heavy on the originals and how good they are. But maybe it's a somewhat more lopsided record than some of his other ones. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't remember it feeling that way, but now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, maybe. I don't know. Some odd choices on this album.
I think that there are two songs that I can outwardly say I think are bad.
Yeah.
And then the rest are very good, or like very good to great.
Yeah,
so
I think that's probably true.
Yeah, like I still think I weigh it heavily, but I agree with you. The 2 or 3 songs that aren't standout tracks, because of the strength of the other songs,
they feel
like
worse.
Huge. Yeah, they feel like big step down.
It's true. And it's so interesting to go back this far. Like, honestly, this is something Al still deals with. I know. He's gone out. I mean, a couple years ago, well, what is it, 2018 now, when he did the first Vanity tour, that was a big deal that he decided to go out and only do the originals. And I remember he said in a press release when that was announced that was something he always wanted to do, and he knew some fans wanted him to do, but was terrifying for him. For someone who's known for the parodies, to go out there and not do that is you are really asking people to be mad at you. It's a tremendous gamble for his audience sake. And I saw people who wrote about it online who, as nicely as they possibly could, say things like, I took my kid to see Weird Al for the first time, and it was a great show, but I'm definitely bummed that I didn't get to show them Amish Paradise or Eat It or Smells Like Nirvana or any of those songs. And I get it. I do understand.
I get it. And I get that you want, if you're going to take your kid to see Weird Al, you want the costume changes and like that whole
everything
thing
about the spectacle of his show. Yeah, absolutely.
Which we've discussed before on the show, where it's like, maybe he needs to become a Vegas act. Like maybe that is what the future of Al is as they get older and older and older.
Yeah.
But let's dive into the song though, because there is again, we have no clue how our rankings are going to change over the next couple of years, but I can't imagine a world where Dare to Be Stupid's not strongly in my top 5. Like, it is such a heavy hitter of a song.
Yeah, I totally agree. This is weird to talk about, and it's almost embarrassing, but I'm going to share with you people. Like, music is just, this is my life and it's my passion. There's nothing I care about more than music, and a great song, it doesn't matter what the lyrics are about. It doesn't matter anything. Like, a song that's amazing, that's like the production is great, the melody is great, everything about it just hits. When all of that works for me and when I feel it, like, I get genuinely emotional.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be, it can be about anything. This song, from the intro, the second that synth line starts this song, I get chills and I feel into, and I have some nostalgia attached to it as well, but this is amazing music. This is so well done. And even for Al, who has so many very high highs that we're going to get into all of it, this is a real high watermark for him in terms of just nailing it in absolutely every way.
Yeah. Well, so let's get into this real quick. So
Yeah.
the song is an ode to living life stupidly. According to the Ultimate Music Video Collection liner notes, Al says that this is literally his motto in life. It's style parody of Devo, who you and I both love.
Yes.
And Yankovic had even said that right after he finished it, he went over to Mark's house from Devo and played him the song, and that he thinks that he enjoyed it. But the infamous quote, and I got the exact quote here, was in VH1's Behind the Music, when interviewing Mark from Devo, he stated, "I was in shock. It was the most beautiful thing I'd ever heard. He sort of re-sculpted that song into something entirely different, and I hate him for it." And I think Weird Al gets Devo so much that he has crafted a song that, even as a diehard Devo fan, this is better than any song Devo has ever crafted.
Yeah, and it's funny too, because that line, I've heard that line used a few different ways, and obviously, there's something funny in the way that Mark says that, right? Where he's like, "It was the most beautiful thing I ever heard. I hate him for it." Yeah. And I think some people took that to mean he actually didn't like the end result. But to me, what I take from that quote is basically, like Mark was like, "You beat me at my own game."
Yeah,
like
no, 100%.
I don't know how he was able to do this, like get into the brain of another person to that extent and come up with something that somehow hits every marker.
This is a Devo song. Like the idea
is
that
unbelievable. Yeah,
it is the idea that Devo would write a song called "Dare to Be Stupid" that would be exactly what these lyrics are.
Yeah.
Is not out of the realm of possibility. Like
Totally.
there is another multiverse somewhere where this was like a minor hit for Devo. You know what I mean?
Doubt.
Like,
without a doubt. It's
like,
so easy to envision. You know what's funny? It did get mentioned somewhere, but I want to mention this specifically because it's not a very well-known Devo song. But to me, what this song borrows the most from, or sounds the most like to me, is a Devo track called "That's Good." That was, I'm not going to remember what record that was on.
So that didn't come up in what I
know a few other things have come up. Like, I feel like I see a lot of different song references for Devo. To me, I've heard them all. I'm a huge Devo fan. I've heard a lot. Like, that song to me hits the most of the same markers. I'm sure he probably grabbed from a few different things to make this track, but that one is very close.
The wiki said for this, the tune resembles a combination of Deep Sleep, Time Out for Fun, and Big Mess, all from Devo's Oh No, It's Devo album. Al's line "yes" in a slightly altered voice is reminiscent of the "yes" found in Explosions on the same album. The descending synth line heard before some verses is similar to the one used in Deep Sleep. The reoccurring synth line heard throughout the song is very similar to the opening synth of Time Out for Fun. And the descending 3-note synth line heard at the end of some of the verses is reminiscent of the one used heavily in Whip It.
The guitar lick, for sure, is very, very Whip It. And funny enough, the song I'm talking about, I had to check myself. That's Good is also on Oh No, It's Devo, which came out in 1982. So that year-wise does kind of jive. That makes a lot of sense, that this would have been something out at the time that Al was listening to. I would strongly encourage anyone listening to check out. I mean, you can listen to that entire record. But That's Good, especially. Give that a listen and tell me if I'm wrong, because it feels like I'm standing alone on that.
Also, like, you can't deny that there are people. Al has even said this. People that really only know this song because of Transformers. It's had such a weird second life as part of the animated Transformers movie the following year.
It's so true, and it's funny. I was never a Transformers kid, so I never knew this from that. I found that out later on that was a huge entry point. I actually, in the research for this episode, found out that Al does a voice in a Transformers series that only came out a few years ago.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
And he yells, "I dare to be stupid." Yeah.
And he yells, "Dare to be stupid." Yeah. I love that connection. I love such a random, glorious entry point for people into, Al's world. I love stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, so there's something else that you and I have talked about on past episodes, specifically about the style parodies, which is like, you can tell when this is an artist that he doesn't just like, but like he respects. And a big example of this, I was talking about this with a friend. The Dare to Be Stupid music video, like, you have to remember that that Devo, from a mainstream standpoint, was a one-hit wonder that popped off in 1983.
Yes.
And there was a very underground cult of people who absolutely loved this band, and they were this cult sensation. The music video for Dare to Be Stupid has so many references to videos that none of the MTV generation would have even been exposed to. Like,
absolutely.
From like their indie film release stuff.
Yeah.
And Wikipedia has a great breakdown of it, so I'm going to just throw a couple of these out here. Obviously, the radiation suits are totally from the Satisfaction
Absolutely,
cover.
yeah.
100%. And a lot of them, it says even the performance segments are modeled after it, including a man trying to attempt to break dance on a carpeted wall and floor.
Yes.
But then it says also the Devo corporate anthem. In one scene, the band is standing in the exact same pose as Devo does in that video.
Yeah.
Jocko Homo. In another segment, the band wears nylon stockings over their head like they do in this video. The Beautiful World video, there's several scenes of black and white stock footage directed by Al in front of an interceptor. Addition to the Tell Me What Do I Say is reminiscent of a line from the song, and the aforementioned costume resembles the one worn on stage when they performed the song live on their tour in 1982. Like,
man,
it is so crazy. Time out for fun. The scenes where they come together and sing the main chorus are very similar to where Devo comes together in the video and sings their main chorus. Comeback Joni. In one scene, an elderly man dressed in a cowboy suit reminiscing the elderly man bowling in the Comeback Joni. Like, it is so hyper specific that Al had to have watched every thing that Devo was making. I'm only halfway through this list. I'm not going to read this entire thing.
It's extremely long. I mean, the amount of references and visual jokes that are, almost impossible to explain in a podcast like this are enormous. I hadn't thought of before. I wonder if part of the, talking about how Devo was this really, really wonderful, so good band who had a cult following but had a very brief moment of mainstream success. And I wonder if that added to the, like, kind of confused appreciation / frustration in the way that Al distilled it all into this other thing that did become, I mean, it wasn't a huge radio hit, but it was a hit and it got used a lot. And I wonder if there was something in Mark and in the guys in Devo of just like, man, this guy, like, we've been trying to come up with another whippet for all these years and this guy just did it.
Yeah.
Using all of our tricks and somehow managed to pull it off. Like, yeah, I wonder if that played some part in the sort of mixed feelings about how this was achieved.
For sure. And the video is just absolutely fucking brilliant. Like, it is so good. The weird vintage 50s footage that they're playing throughout.
Of all the people doing dumb things, I wanted to ask you, do we know, are those real things?
I think those are real things.
It looks like real old products that...
I'm pretty sure it is very much authentic.
Yes. Just stupid ideas people had, like the two people smoking one
out
cigarette using an enormous like pipe thing, or... there's a few good ones in there.
Well, there's like the bikini girls sitting on like the little wheel pieces of wood that they're like basically bumper carring into each other.
That's right.
At one point, there's the hat with the train
the hat
going
with the model train going around the side.
Yeah,
exactly. The woman who, this is like more well known, but the exercise band that basically just like shook your belly until the fat came off.
Wrecked people's like intestines. It was insane.
Exactly.
Did you catch? I'm not sure if you caught. Did you catch that the guy drinking coffee is totally recycled footage from Al TV?
Recycled footage from Al TV. I wrote it down. I have it on my list here. I love that.
Like, as soon as I didn't think of it when we watched the Al TV episode, but then watching this video so quickly after the Al TV episode, I'm like, that is the coffee commercial from
Without
Al
a
TV.
doubt. Same footage. They just reused it. The guy jittery. Charlie can't even hold the coffee straight.
So let me ask you a theory that I've had since I was a child.
Yes.
There's one random part in this video where Al just holds a board in front of his face and the lyrics "just give up the ship" appear.
Yes.
My entire life, I have been convinced that they put that scene in there because it sounds so close to him saying shit that they wanted the words on the screen so that people knew what he was saying there.
That's a good question. I have no idea. I mean, it's just, it certainly could be. It also
it doesn't
could
make
easily
sense
just be
within anything else. Like, everything else seems like the lyrics really are hitting a specific note. So for it to just be like, here's the one time we're going to show the words to the song on the screen.
I guess you're right. I mean, the video is so frantic and so high energy. It's funny. This must have been, we were talking about like the budgets on his videos. This must have been not cheap because the amount of props, locations, different, like the setup for a 1 second shot of footage is intense.
I think there's a reason why the next time we talk about a music video by Al, we're going to be talking about how cheap the video looks, because I think they blew a lot of budget on this one.
Yes, for a future song on this record. That's right. Like exactly. It
is almost the total opposite of what this video is.
For sure. We're definitely seeing a trend here on his records where I think maybe they give, like, there's a budget for one video.
Yeah.
And if you're really clever, we can maybe squeeze a little bit more out of it.
But I think that because the other thing you have to remember with this particular album is, like, yes, there is a music video for This Is the Life, but that was in 1984 for the Johnny Dangerously movie, and it was probably shot to promote the movie.
I was going to say, like, the movie probably helped co-finance that because it was a promotional vehicle. But luckily, Johnny Dangerously didn't need any help to just do so well.
Oh my God. It's such a bummer that movie did so bad, because that movie is absolutely a laugh a minute.
I tell you, I have never seen that movie.
You know what? Here's my assignment.
Yeah.
You need to watch it before we do the This Is the Life music video.
Okay, I think I can pull that off.
Yeah.
I think I can do this. That's the most I've seen of Johnny Dangerously is the This Is the Life music video.
Johnny Dangerously is Amy
Heckerling, who made Loser.
Yeah, a movie that is very close to your life.
That had a song called Teenage Dirtbag on the soundtrack, even though there was not really a soundtrack.
No, it was just a music video to promote.
Hey, do you have an idea for a podcast but don't know where to start? Or do you have an already existing podcast that you want to take to the next level? Well, check out WeKnowPodcasting.com. From concept development to theme music to editing to logos, WeKnowPodcasting.com is a one-stop shop for all things pod. Don't hesitate to hit us up. We're very nice.
One of the other things that I needed to bring up about this particular video that is not particularly important, but it's nostalgic for me.
Yeah,
is there's the shot where it's Al's mouth with the eyeballs painted over top of it.
Yes.
So like I said, my brother and I would watch these videos and stuff. And my brother was homesick from school one day and was left home alone and got my parents' video camera and drew eyeballs on his chin because of this music video. And must have shot like an hour of him lip singing to different songs and just proudly played it for us during dinner when we all came home.
Oh, that's so good.
It is like one of my fondest memories. And he was like really into like Tom Jones and stuff. So it's like him singing like What's New Pussycat and stuff. It is a sight to be seen. And sadly, my mom accidentally taped over that footage. So it's gone forever. But
oh no,
he figured it out from watching this music video. He's like, oh, I can see his mustache down there. He's got his head upside. Like he was like trying to crack the code as like a 6 or 7 year old kid and like figured it out. And we're going to we have to dive into lyrics. The lyrics, beyond the fact that the music is perfect, the lyrics in this song, just one last Wikipedia thing, but lyrically, the song encourages its listeners to be stupid in various ways, mostly by advising them to do the opposite of a common idiom, like letting the bed bugs bite or putting all their eggs in one basket, with the occasionally absurd non sequitur, like stick your head in a microwave to get yourself a can. It also encourages listeners to let their babies grow up to be cowboys, a reference to a popular country song, and to squeeze all the charm when you can when Mr. Whipple's not around, a reference to the long-running series of ads. But like like I said, there is nothing about this song that needs to be changed for it to be an actual Devo song. Like lyrically, everything they're saying fits the Devo ethos of songwriting so perfectly. But there is one part of this song that will make me laugh, even 15 years after I heard it, and I'm curious if it's the same thing that probably makes you laugh every time.
I don't know. You know, it's funny. I don't know if I have like you just said, I don't know if I have a single line in this song that makes me particularly laugh. I just, like, the whole thing is just, like, this one experience. What's the line for you?
I can't hear you Dare to be stupid. Okay, I can hear you now.
Hear you now. You know what? Yes, that is a very good. I forgot about that just in the refrain at the end. Yeah.
Like it is because the rest of the song, like I said, it's not even like laugh out loud. It's just such a perfect Devo song.
Yes.
That is the one line that is played for laughs and is so perfect.
That's true. Yeah. That is the only thing in the song that's arguably not even a little bit. That's exclusively a joke.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everything else is a Devo song.
Yeah.
Like,
it's so true. It's so true. You know what's, and because we do need to get into all the lyrics, but something I have thought about for a while, and I don't know the answer, but it has always struck me. You know, Al sings this entire song in a voice like Mark Mothersbaugh from Devo. A sort of like low register, kind of throaty, a little bit shouted, like he is singing, but it's very like almost like kind of monotone delivery of the lyric of this song. He does it the entire time, except a small section. He might even come back to it one other time, but he in the line, "You better squeeze all the Charmin you can when Mr. Whipple's not around," he goes into his more traditional nasal, higher voice that we've heard him do in other places. And I legitimately wonder if that was suggested to him or an idea of his own to make sure it was clear that this is not Devo. Because honestly, it is so close. The whole thing is like, truly, I feel like you could have fooled somebody potentially with this track if you had played it for that brief moment where he just goes into his more sort of traditional known vocal style is the only real clue you have. That's like, oh, this is not Devo. This is another guy. And it's even just singing in that way almost sounds like a joke in that moment. You know what I mean? Because of that delivery compared to the rest of it. I have no idea if that's true. It's just, it's always struck me, and it struck me again listening today. That, I don't know.
No, that's a really
I'd be curious
good point.
to know, yeah.
Dude, I'm looking, the opening line of this fucking song.
Honestly, one of the best opening lines to any song.
Put down that chainsaw and listen to me. It's time for us to join in the fight.
Yeah.
Like, that is such a Devo, especially that it's time for us to join in the fight part. It's like such a fucking Devo line. It's not even funny. Oh my God, it's so good.
And then, let your babies grow up to be cowboys. It's time to let the bed bugs bite. Put all your eggs in one basket. Count your chickens before they hatch. Sell some wine before it's time.
Find yourself in
an itch to scratch. Yeah.
So I know that I've talked about this a few times with other songs, but there was a show that we were doing. This is probably 10, maybe even 15 years ago now. My friend decided to throw a show, and people do this show now pretty regularly, especially around Halloween time, where it's like we booked 6 bands, but these 6 bands are all doing tribute sets to a specific artist. Right? So he asked me if I would be willing to do it, and I said, yeah, I'm going to do a Weird Al set. The Weird Al set was a shit show because I was trying to get a group of dudes to be a backup band so I could do like a handful of songs. Like I wanted to do like All About the Pentiums and Smells Like Nirvana and stuff like that. And finding time to practice was completely a nightmare. We got to the point where it's like, look, these are songs, just learn it. We'll try to run through it real quick before the doors open.
Yeah.
And it got a smaller and smaller and smaller until it was like, I just need you for these 2 songs.
Yeah.
And then like they still didn't show up in time. So I had, at this point, I had already built backup plans and like escape routes.
Yeah.
But I started leaning more and more heavily into songs that I could just have a sampled track behind me.
Sure. Yeah.
So I kicked off with Dare to Be Stupid. And I have to tell you, Matt, having the instrumental for Dare to Be Stupid blasting behind me and running around a skate park in front of a group of maybe 100 people confidently singing the lyrics to Dare to Be Stupid is one of the top 10 greatest experiences of my life. Because especially the people who got what was going on starting to chant the Dare to Be Stupid part at the right points and stuff. It was like, this is
so good.
The best day of my life. I was so loving every second of it. So I think I did that. I found the instrumental for Bad so I could do Fat.
Sure.
Amish Paradise was in there. I end it with White and Nerdy. And there's maybe 1 or 2 others that I worked in there, but like it was fun. And there was a kid who I can't remember who it was now, but there was a group of people that like I didn't know prior to this that happened to be at that show. And the biggest compliment was that one kid said he walked in during Dare to Be Stupid and he didn't see what was going on stage. And he was like, I literally thought someone was just playing the song for sound check because you sounded so spot on for how he sings it. I was
That's
like,
high praise.
oh.
Wow.
But this song, I'm telling you, if you ever have an opportunity, if you're at karaoke and you get to do like, it is
Dare to Be Stupid. Yeah. That's a good idea. I'm not much of a karaoke guy, but that is pretty appealing.
That would get you on the stage
good.
just that once. Let's see. Let's go through a couple more of the lyrics. We did mention a few of them, but like, better squeeze, the one you mentioned, better squeeze all the charmin you can when Mr. Whipple's not around. Stick your head in the microwave and get yourself a tan.
Yep.
And
another great note in the video again of Jim in the cowboy outfit,
so
like with
him
it, which looks so good.
Kills it, dude.
He does a big over the top wink at the camera.
Talk
great.
with your mouth full, bite the hand that feeds you, bite off more than you can chew. What can you do? Dare to be stupid.
Yeah.
Take some wooden nickels, look for Mr. Goodbar, get your mojo working now. I'll show you how you can dare to be stupid. Let's see, what else is in there? Yeah, you can turn the other cheek, you can just give up the ship. And he does do the nasally voice here too, that you can buy a bunch of sushi, then forget to leave a tip.
Yeah. It comes and goes a couple times throughout the song. I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking it in some way, but I don't know.
No, I think that's the last one. No, there's one more.
I think maybe he does it again at the
you
it's
say
like
you
I
gotta
said, you
buy
gotta
one
buy
to
one
get
if you want to get one free.
That's
I think
the last time I think he does it. But still, I mean, it's infrequently enough that I think you might have a valid theory.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'd be curious to know if anyone listening has any thoughts on that or has any information we don't have.
Oh, here's another one that is okay. So he says that it's time to make a mountain out of a molehill. So can I have a volunteer? No more time for crying over spilt milk. Now it's time for crying in your beer. Here is another Devo ass lyric.
Yeah.
Settle down, raise a family, join the PTA, buy the sensible shoes and a Chevrolet, party till you're broke and they drive you away. It's okay. Like there is no joke in that. That is just a lyric that you could find in a Devo song.
Yeah. And I just was realizing it's worth noting briefly for people, if you're listening to this and you're not super familiar with Devo, the whole point of the name of Devo comes from their concept, from a concept of de-evolution, which is basically the idea that people are getting stupider all the time. The entire foundation of Devo is rooted in this idea, and all of their songs cover it. So it started off as this, again, I think they even called themselves De-Evolution for a brief period of time before they realized that was not even a little bit catchy. No. And they shortened it to Devo. But yeah, just to give an idea of like the depth of what Al is doing, how it's funny, but also how it's not that funny, and it's actually about something that Devo at least take very seriously, which is the idea that people are getting dumber. Yeah. And they're trying to do something about it and raise awareness of this fact. So like Al it's a perfect space for him where he can be absurd while also addressing this like actual like legitimate concern that the members of Devo have.
And I think that the other thing you have to understand is like, so my all-time favorite Devo song is a very short song by them actually called Too Many Paranoias on their first album. And that song doesn't really sound too much like Dare to Be Stupid, but to capture why we're saying like these sound like lyrics or things that Devo would do is like that song is one of the most anxiety-inducing, frantic guitar riffs.
Yes.
Just playing over and over and over again. And then out of nowhere, he's just singing the McDonald's hold the pickles, hold the lettuce, special orders, don't upset us thing. But then like just screaming like there's too many paranoias over it. Like it is a very uncomfortable song in a lot of ways.
Oh yeah. I mean, a lot of their stuff really makes you unsettled. It's funny because we have talked about this before, but one of the first things that you and I really met doing was talking about Devo on the One Hit Thunder podcast. And there I recommended to people, and I'm going to do it again, go on YouTube and watch the video of Devo playing their cover of I Can't Get No Satisfaction on Saturday Night Live in the 70s.
It's insane.
It is shocking to see.
Yeah.
Because these guys look like psychopaths. and they are playing the craziest herky-jerky version of this song in those yellow jumpsuits like you see in this Al video. And musically, it's crazy. Visually, it's crazy. It is, even by today's standards, it is a shocking thing to see on a show like Saturday Night Live. It is wild.
Yeah, they really, I mean, they are a band that, we talk about this sometimes where there's like certain bands, and it's always the bands that Al gravitates towards, I would say. There will never be another Devo. There will never be anyone who can do what Devo does, except for maybe Weird Al. And I think that that's the same reason why, you know, if you put a gun to my head and said, what is your absolute favorite Weird Al Yankovic song right now, I would say Everything You Know Is Wrong off Bad Hair Day. And I think it's another example of a song that he is so knowledgeable about what They Might Be Giants does that sets them apart from everybody else, that you could have played that for someone and just told them this is the new They Might Be Giants song, and they wouldn't have blinked an eye.
Yeah,
and been like,
totally.
Yep, sounds like them.
He is definitely drawn to bands that have a very unique, we already talked about the B-52s, a very, very unique sounding band, and he is drawn to that, and then, again, likes to sort of dissect it under a microscope and learn how they sound the way that they do. Because I said it on the B-52s episode, it absolutely holds true for Devo. In my opinion, there is nothing harder in music than sounding this unique. It is so, so, so difficult to do that while still making a pop song effectively.
Yeah. And a catchy ass song. Like,
incredibly
catchy.
So incredibly catchy. And yeah, I mean, I think that's a huge, it has to be a big it has to be a big draw for Al as a reference to be like, that's the stuff he wants to understand. He's like the right analogy here. I feel like Al is like one of those monsters that like absorbs everything around him to try to like grow his own sort of like mind and influence. Like he's just absorbing qualities from other acts as he plows through his career. Yeah. And then he reuses them later.
Yeah, it's insane. It's impressive. In case you haven't made this assumption already, I'm going to just say it. Dare to Be Stupid is jumping to the top of my original song list. It's jumping to the top of my music video list. I think that there might be other original songs that overtake Dare to Be Stupid. I think that every other music video from this point on is going to have a very difficult time overcoming how amazing this Dare to Be Stupid music video is. Like, this is, if you were teaching a class on music videos, this is like up there with Sledgehammer as a video that you should be showing for like how insanely creative and artistic you can get making a music video.
I totally agree. I will say absolutely my rankings are the same. It is number one on both. Another call to our listeners, because something that kind of bummed me out, and this is just, this happens with everyone now, it's just a sign of the times, really. Like, the only version of this video available that I found on YouTube is in really tragically low resolution.
Yeah.
And I know that there are people who are out there who have access to these amazing like AI upscaling programs that can take old videos and make them look a little bit better. I would wonder if anyone has a way to do that and check out, you know, the Scotty Brothers, I think, were the label that released this, and they probably own the video and are just, it's sitting in a film canister somewhere waiting to be digitized and brought up to at least 1080p. But if anyone has a way, what is a civil service you would be doing to take the Dare to Be Stupid video and other Al videos and upsample them so we can see it better, because there are, it's crazy how I think almost every one of his old videos that we've looked at so far has been in very,
before
very
he
poor
got
quality.
The Al Yankovic channel for sure. Yeah,
exactly.
But
regardless of that, that's neither here nor there in terms of the rankings, which is, this is really, really, I agree with you, Matt. I mean, this is a tough track to beat for him. Yeah. This is a defining song of his. My God, I mean, if you are listening to this and somehow you are not on board with this track, I don't even know what to say to you. This is as essential as anything he has ever done.
Yeah, 100%.
Listen to the track, watch the video, and then repeat.
And then check out a shit ton of Devo music.
And then listen to Devo. Absolutely listen to the Are We Not Men, We Are Devo record, which is like one of the best post-punk records ever made. You can
I
listen
mean, it's
to
ranked on multiple lists of greatest albums that has ever been recorded.
It's incredible. Freedom of Choice is incredible. We just talked about Oh No, It's Devo, which I think has probably the most similar DNA to Dare to Be Stupid. If you're a fan of this track and you don't know a lot about Devo, I would recommend checking out that album. They are an amazing, amazing band. And again, the song makes it very clear how much Al respects them. And really, Devo are deserving of everyone's respect.
And
as far as
also,
I'm
just
concerned.
while we're giving out the Devo recommendations, it was, I think, the last album they ever put out. But I still think it was a very, very fun album, was Something for Everyone, or Something for Everybody that came out.
Something for Everybody. That album rules. I mean, honestly, I'm really glad you brought that up because I forgot about that record. It is so rare that a band who's existed as long as Devo, and that record did come out, I want to say like 2010 or so now. That might be it for them at this point. But holy cow, that record is great.
That record's really great, and I can't recommend this whole album, but the opening track to New Traditionalists, Through Being Cool, is also
so good.
One of the best songs that they've ever done. And weirdly enough, I actually think my second favorite Devo song, I said Too Many Paranoias is my favorite, and I'm going to stick with that. They have a song that they wrote for the Chef Aid soundtrack for South Park that is so fucking good, called A Hugh Bones Stomp, that is like...
Wow, I have not thought about that in forever.
But you remember that song I'm talking about?
I do,
where it's
yeah.
Like,
it's funny, actually.
I'm a Hugh Boom, baby. I'm a mix between a human and a nape.
I was just talking to some friends about that record because they just did the South Park concert. Did you see this?
I've seen multiple clips. So, but I was like, it's Ween and Primus.
It was Ween and Primus, two bands who had songs on the Chef Aid soundtrack. Yeah. And it made me go back and like revisit, like, that whole soundtrack was so great. Like, Wyclef Jean, so many great things on that soundtrack.
It is the best version of the song Bubble Goose by Wyclef Jean.
Yes.
It has one of the best Rancid songs that they ever wrote. That, like, California sun and stuff.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It's so good.
Oh, my God.
The combination, there's like an Old Dirty Bastard with the Chemical, or the Crystal Method track. Like, Puff Daddy does a song with System of the Down before System of the Down was even a big band at that time. Like, it is an unbelievable soundtrack. But the Devo song is probably my favorite song on that album, actually. But that song is unbelievable, and it's like one of the few songs that I think about the lyrics of all time, because the one line was like, you titty twisted up my life and pissed all over my dreams. like it's such a weird, angry song. But yes, go check out a shit ton of Devo. Just listen to everything he did. They really don't have bad albums.
They really don't. They are worthy of your time and attention. I don't know if you're a big Al fan, which you probably are if you're listening to this. It would be hard for me to imagine you not finding a lot to love in the Devo catalog.
Yeah, for sure.
They are just an excellent, excellent band, and it's a testament to how great they are that they inspired this, that, again, arguably is a strong contender for the apex of Al's original songwriting, or especially if we're talking about a style parody, in terms of nailing a style parody. I don't know if we're going to keep going. We're going to keep talking about it. We got a lot more style parody to talk about, but in terms of crushing it on every level, I mean, this is going to be very, very tough to beat.
100%. But we'll try next week. Maybe
we're going to try next week.
Well,
next week is a song parody and not a style parody. And maybe it's just as good as this song, or maybe it's not.
Yeah, or maybe it might be fighting for the bottom of a list.
Maybe it's not the most inspired parody Al ever did. We're going to see. We're going to figure it out together.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.